So,
I was going to say I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but that's not true. I didn't. But I understand why you can't answer directly. I would contend that you would not have. And I think it's because the Asian American theater community and the African American theater community have a different status. Perhaps that's not the correct word. Visibility, thank you. And history in American theater. There was a time in history when it was acceptable to have a white person play Othello. There was a time. And at some point, the community stepped up and said, this is no longer acceptable. And we all sort of fundamentally know that. So if this play had taken place in mythical Africa, I don't think that you would have cast a white person, because fundamentally you would know somewhere that that's not acceptable. There's something wrong with that. You just wouldn't have done it. You wouldn't have said, well, 5 black actors turned it down, so this is what we ended up with. And the Asian American community is saying it now. It's that we find it unacceptable as well. And that's what we're saying.
Audience questions.
So, just a minute, we're almost there.
It's 5:40.
The last thing we wanted to ask of the creative team, is there a possibility that in future stagings of this play, a different casting approach may be used?
I think obviously, you know, all of this conversation is helping us determine exactly, you know, it's heavily going to influence what's going to happen next.
And I would like to add that you have a resource in the Asian American Performers Coalition that can probably help you with the artistic approach for that, to still be successful with your goal of creating a mythical world based on China. So, now we would like to open it up for questions from the audience, and I'll try to keep track of who's got their hand up. Do we have house lights that could go up better? Okay, just because I'm going to start here, the lady with the green sweater on, with the glasses, yes. You. Right next to the camera.
The gray sweater.
Sorry.
What I wanted to say is, what is the availability of talented, trained
don't go there.
Asians compared to when they are...
Everybody stand up.
Do you have a market? Do you have enough people to choose from?
Yes.
The question was, what's the availability of talented Asian actors? And I'd like to let members of the Asian American Performers Coalition answer that.
I sort of joke that I could give you my iPhone and have you call any of the people in it, but it's sort of true. You know, 150 years ago when I started in this business, I was in a smaller market, but I tell you, I'm so proud of the Asian American men and women that are in the theater these days. That that's partially why, aside from the human aspect of why this matters to us, it's that knowledge of the talent that's out there and underused that fuels a lot of our passion here.
I wanted to also, put.
When you go to opera and you see people die on the deathbed and they're huge, and you're supposed to have a romantic feeling. I get involved. I don't care what they look like. I don't care who they are.
Okay, thank you. You made your point.
Or whether they're not, or whether they're black, or whether they're white. I'm involved with what they do and what they say, and it makes me feel a certain way.
And you're white.
Yes.
And ma'am, I just wanted to say you're welcome to your perspective, and we also heard a different perspective up here, and they're both important. And I also wanted to put in the room that this is, again, an example of how race politics plays into this subject. When you don't have access, you don't have opportunities, you don't get parts, guess what? We don't see Asian actors. So then we start wondering, are there any out there? And it's just a natural phenomenon. The next person I saw with his hand up was the guy with the black jacket, and then I'll go over here. You're relinquishing?
I would actually relinquish. I'll go after her.
Okay, go ahead. Whoever everybody's pointing to.
Oh, okay. Hi. Actually, I have just two things I want to say. As you think about the multicultural world that you've created, is there's the issues about the lack of representation of Asian Americans, but also the perception of the world that you created. And I have to give credit. I didn't come up with this. Somebody else I spoke with mentioned this, that the perception of the world that you created is that it's ruled by white men. The darker-skinned black women are to be feared, like the emperor's mother. The lighter-skinned black women are to be loved. The Asian is the foreigner or the precious little Nightingale. And there's no Latinos, Middle Easterners, Native Americans, or people of disabilities in the mythical world that you created. So I only share that because I want to broaden also the conversation about race. But that's one thing, and I want to put that on the side. The other thing I really wanted to say, too, is thank you for your apology. And I really want to point out, I want to say nobody's ever done that before. Nobody's ever been in a forum like this and looked at people and said, I'm sorry, and I hear you. And I really want to embrace that you said that and recognize that it's groundbreaking. And then I also want to recognize, because I live here in San Diego and I know the people at La Jolla Playhouse, that the Nightingale does not define La Jolla Playhouse. La Jolla Playhouse does have a track record of doing some good things for Asian American artists, and we really appreciate that. This does not define you, and even more so, kudos to you for really saying sorry. I accept that, and I say sorry back to you for anything hurtful that I may have done in this transaction as well. Thank you.
I'll take this woman first, and then you, sir, back there after her.
So I want to support the people who are thanking you for the apology. I do, but I'm about like action items, and so because I don't always know what an apology means in terms of the next steps. So when I hear, oh, we got that, I got that note, all the names are still Chinese. I hope it doesn't mean that we come back and they're like diced away because you're trying to get away so far from this original inspiration. In the very beginning, when they're talking about an imperial land, it felt like they were almost struggling to say where they were. As an actor, location is so important. Right? You obviously know this as a director. We need to know as actors, where is my character grounded? And identity is so much about place, right? And so then, if it is, there were guys we wanted, totally, and nothing about the cast because you all were awesome, but, if it is like the 5 guys, the 6, actually it was 6 guys in the piece, we wanted so-and-so and so-and-so, they just weren't available, do we need to think about working with organized committees and bodies and theater companies locally and nationally to create a better network just so that you can be like, you know what, I need more folks. Because we can hand them to you. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's all I want to say.
That's why I said I think
I appreciate that, thank you. And a longer and more, I guess, I want to use the word proper, I don't know if that's really the right word, casting process. A longer casting process would have allowed us to see more people.
Okay, your shirt looks like it's brown, sir. You have glasses. That's you. Yes.